Welcome in to the Hail
What's up,
Varsity
Rico?
Postgame show with Ravi
Uh,
Lulla and Rico.
What's up, Rico? How we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I was not doing fantastic for about 2 quarters, but I'm doing fantastic now.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. I don't really know what to do with a lot of what we just witnessed. I also very happy Nebraska won.
Yep.
There were about 2 quarters where Nebraska looked incredible.
Yep.
There were 2 quarters where Nebraska looked very bad.
Extremely.
And I don't know that we can say that it's coincidence that those 2 quarters each way lined up with who did and didn't have the wind. Like that
Yep.
seems like
I can
I don't want to sit here and say like, hey, we're just gonna chalk it up to the wind. There was stuff that I do not think was wind related, right? Like
Yep.
there was some offensive line play that is not wind related. There's some defensive containment stuff that is not wind related, but it is too much for me to sit there and say, like, it's too perfectly lined up for having the wind and not having the wind for me to say, if this is a normal conditions game, I think Nebraska wins this by like 21 points.
I think you can blame the win to a certain extent because both teams looked god awful when they did not have the wind at their backs. When both teams were going against the wind, the offenses were practically inept. Now you can say that Nebraska's defense played really well, which I think they did. Regardless of having the wind, not having the wind, I think Nebraska's defense did a really good job. But in terms of just offenses looking like they knew what they were doing, offenses looking like they had a clue what offense was, it looked much better for Nebraska in the first and the fourth, and for Michigan State in the second and the third, which again, as you said, lines up with when those teams had the wind at their backs.
Yeah, like I don't even want to say blame the wind, right? Because that feels too excusey, but like
I'll blame the wind for you.
it is impossible to take that out of the context of what we just witnessed, right? Like it
Yes.
was 14-0 run, 21-0 run, 24-0 run, and it lined up perfectly with the win. But like that's
Yeah.
not a coincidence, right? And so like you have to take that into context. There's certainly things still that Nebraska needs to work on, and we'll get to those. I do want to also point out that Nebraska did have 2 touchdowns taken off the board.
Yep. On some
Like
on really close plays. Like, I'm not going to say ticky tack. I'm not going to say that the refs got it wrong. They were really close plays. The forward not forward pass from Aiden Childs.
It was forward. It was a forward.
It was
pass.
forward.
Like,
It was
fine.
barely forward, but it was forward.
Yes.
Smart play by the tight end to not catch it. So you don't lose yards. Very smart play by him. And then the block in the back on Carter Nelson on the big punt return. It could have been said on the side. If you didn't call it, nobody would have said anything probably. Like, I don't think Michigan State's complaining about it later on in their post-game presser. But it's as our friend Tim Verghese said on Twitter, it's not a beauty contest, folks. That's a win.
Yeah, ask Texas and Penn State how they're feeling about things today, right? Like, and that's just to put like the greater context. I know a lot of Nebraska fans are like dialed in on what was going on during the Nebraska game, and rightfully so. I get that. But like if you're kind of watching the rest of college football today, like my Lord, there were some things, right? And so I kind of sit there. I mean, I sit there and I go, okay, like, yeah, it didn't look great for a couple quarters. Very easily could have been a 21 point more win for Nebraska. Very easily could have gone the other way. And that's kind of where I want to start is somebody tweeted this at me right after the game ended, or right as the game was ending. Nebraska loses that game last year and every year for the past decade or so. The way that game played out, once there was a 21-14 Michigan State lead, there's about a decade of Nebraska football that's just a wrap.
They shut it down.
We're done here, right? Like that's over. It's been out of their grasp and it's gone, right? Nebraska immediately answers to tie it up, and then immediately goes on and scores an additional 17 points, 17 points, and basically put the game away, right? Game's over at that point.
Yeah.
That was a great response, and I know there's things that need cleaned up. Like I said, we'll get to them. But that's a direct reflection of this coaching staff and the culture that they've put into this team. The fact that things were going bad for like 2 consecutive hours when you include halftime, right? Like real time, almost 2 consecutive hours to
like
be able to
it was painful.
Yes. Yeah. Like it was, I mean, you should see my mentions. Like there's a lot happening. People had a lot of really big feelings, and understandably so. I'm not judging them for it. I am judging how some people express those feelings, but I'm not judging you for the very big feelings we were having, right? I understand. It was horrifying to watch.
Talk through your feelings. It's okay.
If it's horrifying to watch, how would it feel to be in it? Right? How would it feel to be sitting in it and being like, what the F is going on right now? Right? And to be able to stay in the moment, stay composed, stay on it to the point where not only do you win, but you win honestly pretty comfortably. Like, the line was everywhere between 10.5 and 13.5 this week. If you were an early better, you were rewarded for the idiotic going for 2 at the end of the game there by Michigan State. And you gotta love Brando math. He's like, all right, they're down 11. So if they go for 2, it's going to be 8. Wait a minute. That's not right. Anyway,
Tim Brando
had a tough
Tim Brando had a tough day, but he loves Nebraska, so it's okay. You can forgive him.
Tough day at the office for Timothy Brando. But like there is like that game was pretty comfortably won at the end of it. So the ability for this team, this coaching staff, and like just everyone involved to stay in it and stay in the moment and stay dialed in when things are going poorly for a very long time during the course of this game. I'm very impressed with that. We as fans did not have that ability. And again, not judging, but it's easier because we don't have to do anything, right? So it would be easier theoretically to stay like kind of dialed in and be like, hey, a lot of time left. Like I don't have to go out and execute anything. I'm just sitting here, sitting in my chair watching the game, whatever. I think it was a very impressive moment for the culture of this program. And I said this all week. And honestly, I said in the offseason too, was I thought we were going to find out way more about this team against Michigan State than we did against Michigan, regardless of what happened against Michigan. And I didn't think this is what we were going to find out. But I do think we found out a lot about this team. Like, I really do.
There's no quit in this team. That's kind of what I found out, and I think that's kind of what you're trying to express right now, is that regardless of how bad things were getting and how frustrated you could see not only the players but the coaching staff, the coordinators were getting on the sideline through 2 quarters, you could see how upset everyone was. They stuck it out. They stuck together, and they pulled it out in the end. They went on the run. They withstood Michigan State's flurry of points and kept them from going on an even bigger run and scoring even more points. I think the defense played fantastic, regardless of giving up however many was it 27 points to Michigan State. I think the defense played fantastic in this game, and to show up at the end of the game in the fourth quarter like they did after going down by so much, and to rally the troops and to just say, hey, I understand that things haven't been great for 2 quarters. I understand that, we haven't been able to get the ball moving whatsoever for the second and the third, but we're going to come out here and we're going to give it to them in this fourth quarter. We've got the wind at our backs. We're going to start airing the ball out. And even then, it's not like they were chucking it down the field in the fourth quarter. They just,
they're just executing.
It seemed like Dylan was a little bit more confident in throwing the ball with the wind instead of into the wind, which then led to more different play calling and Nebraska scoring the ball. Like Nebraska, like you said, in years past, shuts it down and probably gets blown out in this game. By the fourth quarter, the fans are walking out the door by the time the fourth quarter starts, and the team is just throwing up their hands like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like, that matters. And I think that's I think that's one of the things that I'm going to take away from this game. Now, there's things I'm going to take away from this game that aren't as positive either, right? Like, there was a stretch in the middle of the game. And here's the part that I really struggle with the offensive line. There's a lot of things. So let's just get into the offensive line stuff.
Don't make me get my soapbox out.
No, listen, and you can soapbox here in a second, but there's a lot of things to get to with the offensive line and kind of the protection in general, right? First and foremost, I thought first drive of the game, Dillon did a much better job climbing the pocket, like I had talked about in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where and he kind of bailed on that later. Like he didn't keep doing that to the degree he was. And then he started doing it again late when he got a little bit more comfortable, right? Like, so there were flashes of it. And again, that's not something you learn in a bye week. Like climbing the pocket is a challenging skill to master as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. So I understand how it's going to come and go a little bit. I like that it was something they appeared to be aware of, right? Big positive there. The negative was there were stretches during that game, particularly in the second and third quarter. And this is the part that I don't know how it correlates to the wind. Because I don't think it does, but maybe, people smarter than me can explain it. They got whipped in the middle of that game. The offensive line did. And the funny thing is, they really did not get whipped in the first and fourth quarters, though. Like the offensive line in the drives where Nebraska was scoring and playing well was cohesively putting together drives where they were protecting Dillon. They were running the ball. Like, I don't understand how that correlates to the wind. Also, maybe it's about staying on schedule. Maybe it's maybe there's some not indirect effect of the wind and the way the offense was going that made the offensive line look so bad, but they were getting beat a lot in the middle of that game in a way that was frankly hard to watch. And I don't know what other word, but embarrassing. I think embarrassing is the right word. Now it's not all on them. I mentioned Dillon climbing the pocket. Also, my guy needs to get rid of the ball a little bit faster, right? I understand.
You're going to take my points.
Go ahead. Soapbox it.
You're gonna take my points.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now I understand that everybody, including myself, was freaking out about the offensive line, and I saw multiple people say, "All right, after this game, Donnie's got to go," et cetera, about the offensive line. Now, on my soapbox, a little baby soapbox right here. Nebraska's offensive line was not as bad as people think they were today. Like you said, there were stretches where they were getting crushed.
Very bad.
They were getting crushed. Yeah, it wasn't great. But in those stretches, as well as in the first and the fourth quarter, Nebraska's offensive line was holding Michigan State's defense in check. It was holding the pass rushers in check and opening holes for Emmett Johnson, which I don't think he got enough carries today, but that's we'll get to that later.
Real quick on the stretches where they played well. On some of those down the field, like the bubble screen to Isaiah that he scored on, there was one with Emmett where he got a pretty good chunk as well. There were guys getting into that second level and executing at a really high level from the offensive line. I know Gatula had a rough day overall, but he had a huge block on the Isaiah Hunter Hunter touchdown. He had a couple big blocks getting downfield and getting to the second level on a couple of the other short passes that ended up being good gains as well. So, to your point, they were doing some things at a high level, right? For stretches at least. And then you had all this other stuff. So, sorry, continue.
Yes. No, it's okay. The offensive line, again, was giving Dillon more than enough time to get rid of the ball. They talked about it in the offseason. They talked about it at the beginning of the season, taking the checkdowns, taking the for sure yardage, or at least just getting the ball out of your hands if you're Dylan Raiola. He was not doing that. And it makes the offensive line look worse when your quarterback is stepping into pressure or rolling into pressure or holding the ball for 5 seconds while the wide receivers are trying to get open. Again, he's holding the ball for 5 seconds. That is more than enough time for him to get rid of the ball. And that is not an indictment, but that is on the offensive line for giving him those 5 seconds to throw it. He isn't finding the receivers, so either they're not getting open or he just isn't making the reads at the right time. And again, this isn't to say that he's not a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. We're not going to do that. But the offensive line, I think, is getting blamed way too much for all of the sacks and all of the pressure that was getting onto Dylan Raiola, when part of it is on them. Yes, I will give you that. Part of that is on them. But I think in this game specifically, a decent, I would say over 50% maybe, was probably on Dillon deciding to step into or roll into pressure or hold the ball for too long. I don't think the offensive line played as bad as some people are going to try and make out that they did.
I would agree. I also don't think they played good enough. Fair?
No. Yeah, no,
right?
definitely.
Yeah,
They didn't play up to the standard that they set for themselves at the beginning of the
absolutely.
season. Rocco Spindler
Yeah,
saying that they could win the Joe Moore Award, I think is what it is. Yeah, they're not. They didn't play up to that standard 2 weeks ago or today,
yeah.
but they played good enough for Dylan to look better than he did in
And
this game.
they played good enough to look better than they will be considered after this game as well. Here's the other thing
Yes.
that I'm trying to work through with the offensive line, right? Because I was very pro offensive line in the offseason. I thought, and I wasn't alone. I was alone on the defensive line, but I wasn't
Mhm.
alone on the offensive line. A lot of people thought this
I
would
was there
be.
with you.
I mean, almost everybody we talked to in the offseason said this was going to be one of the keys or one of the strengths of this team, and I agreed with him. You've got here's the disconnect for me in my brain, right? Is you had offensive lines that appeared to perform better in the last 2 years with what I consider lesser talent, right?
Mhm.
And so I don't know how you take that and can say confidently that Donnie Raiola is the problem, because obviously in 2 years with lesser talent, they were better. So that obviously has to do with someone, and I would assume it's Donnie Raiola. You
Mhm.
bring in Pritchett, who started every game at Alabama last year, and don't let anybody lie to you, was going to start every game at Alabama this year. Rocco
Yeah.
Spindler started every game at Notre Dame last year, was going to be in a battle, but likely was going to start every game for Notre Dame this year. Those are two guys starting for very good programs that were going to start for those programs again that are now starting for Nebraska. You have a year older Justin Evans, even though he switched positions. You have a very
Mhm.
experienced Henry Lutovsky, who played a ton. You have Gunnar Gatula, who started 9 games last year and held up pretty well last year, playing a year early, right? So you take that in its totality and you say, hey, how is this worse than it was? Or how does it appear to be worse than it was when I'm
Mhm.
very confident the talent is better? And that's where there's a disconnect for me, because maybe it's a continuity thing, maybe it's a fluidity thing. I don't know what it is, right? But the thing for me is, obviously we have seen Donnie Raiola coach and develop at a very high level over the previous 2 seasons. I feel confident saying that, because not a
Mhm.
soul in this state wanted Bryce Benhart to play another snap of football for Nebraska, and all of a sudden he became a very good Big Ten offensive lineman. Like there's too much, like that's one piece of evidence, but there's too much evidence over the
Yeah.
last 2 years for me to say this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know what that means for this year. I have no idea, right? But that's the disconnect for me when people say, hey, Donnie's not the guy. It's like, okay, but we've seen him be the guy already, right? Like we've seen that happen. We've
Yeah.
seen him be the guy.
We've
So
seen the
I don't
offensive line improve with Donnie Raiola. This offensive line, I think
dramatically.
is still going to be good. Just had it's the last 2 games have been really rough for them.
Yeah.
The
And
last 2
so
games.
I sit here and I go, I don't know what to do with that. I'm going to take my chances on the guy that I've seen for 2 years be good at developing and good at putting offensive lines together, as
Mhm.
opposed to 2 games where we had a hard time, right? Like that is like that's where I'm going to land on that. I understand the frustration. There's almost nothing in the world more frustrating than watching your offensive line get beat. I get that. Like it's that and having somebody run for 6 to 8 yards on you every single play. Those are probably the
Just
2 most frustrating things to
yeah,
happen on a defense or as a
like
fan, right?
you just know that they're gonna get more yardage
I
regardless
mean,
of
like
they get the ball and you're just like, all right, whatever.
I don't know if people watch Cincinnati Ohio State today. That's what Cincinnati did to Ohio State. Every time
Iowa
that
State.
Iowa State, sorry, Iowa State.
If they did that
That's
to
what
Ohio State,
good
that
lord.
Cincinnati win would have been looking a lot better.
Good lord, right? Sorry, Iowa State. That's what Cincinnati did to Iowa State today. Every single time that Walker or Evan Pryor, I think is the other kid's name, who played at Ohio State.
Oh,
Um, every time one of those guys got the ball, it was like 6 yards, 8 yards, 12 yards, 7 yards.
just punching them in the mouth.
Every single time. And then
Yeah.
Soares would be like, I'm going to get like 13 here and whatever, right? And so
Let me
if
pretend
you're
like I'm actually going to pass this. It's not going to happen, but I'll pretend.
Yes. And so, like, I'm watching that game and I go, that's what it looks like to be physically dominated on the defensive line. That's not what we saw happen last week. So that's a tangent that I was thinking about
Mhm.
earlier today. Doesn't really matter. But, like, those are 2 of the most demoralizing and frustrating things to watch as a fan base, right? Is to see your offensive line get whipped and to see your defensive line just get gashed for these moderate. Honestly, I think it's worse. I think the moderate gains 20 times feel so much worse to me, at least. Maybe I'm
Then three big plays.
Yeah, then just like, hey, he broke a tackle, he's gone.
Yeah,
right.
No, you're right. Unless it's he broke a tackle and he's gone 3 times, and then your offense is also not scoring, because then it feels bad because you're just like, if you would have just stopped him, if one person. But you're right. If it's just 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, 6 yards, 10 yards, it's just like just somebody, and it just the drives keep the drive just keeps going. That sucks.
And then you're on the field for 15 minutes in a row or whatever, and so speaking of which, I do want to address that part with the defense in the middle of the game. They were on the field, and listen, special team scores are awesome, right?
Yep.
It does force your defense to be on the field for a very long stretch of time. We talked about the offense losing their rhythm for not being on the field for 30 minutes in a row, which I think is what you're about to say. But the
30
defense
minutes
has to
real time.
The defense then has to be on the field for that entire time, right? Like that's the trade-off. And so
those big boys got to keep trying to get a quarterback for 30 minutes.
And listen, they look like they got a little gas. Look like they got a little gas at certain stretches of the game. So
yeah, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I get it. So again, not trying to make excuses, but the context of what we actually watched, I agree. I thought the defense played really well for the most part. I really do. I would take that defensive performance. I haven't looked at the stats yet. I'm going to see if I can find them here. But I would take that defensive performance most days. Is there some stuff?
They held them to
yards of total, 250 yards of total offense, 239. Is that the right number?
240.
240.
That's what ESPN says.
240 yards of total offense. You're going to take that every day.
156 passing and 84 rushing.
Yeah. I'll take that.
If you want to talk about the improvements or the differences that Nebraska made in the bye week.
Thanks for listening, Jeremy.
They limited the big plays, really shut down the big plays. There really weren't any big plays, greater than 20, 25 yards, right?
So the longest run was 16 yards. There was a pass play, which was, I believe,
it was that second to last.
It was a screen. It was that screen, I believe, where or not a screen. It was like a scramble where Childs almost got killed and then flipped the ball out and he ran for a long time to the running back number 7, Tullis.
Yeah,
that was for 24. They had one play for over 20 yards the entire game. That was that one. And if I'm remembering correctly, it was on a broken play. So yes, they did a very good job.
The differences and the improvements that they wanted to make in the bye week, in the 2 weeks, in the 2 weeks that they had from one game to the next, they made. They shut down the run for Michigan State. They limited the big plays, and they forced Michigan State to stay on the field for long stretches of time and methodically work down the field. Unfortunately, they actually ended up scoring on those, but they had the win. So they had the win. So that's the thing.
Here's the other thing I want to say real quick about that. Aiden Childs, who I truly believe and have said all week that is a more dynamic runner than Bryce Underwood. I think he is more dynamic with his legs than Bryce Underwood, and I don't think that's even a hot take or really up for debate.
He is slippery.
Yeah, 13 carries for 23 yards. He had the 2 touchdowns, I get that, but 13 carries for 23 yards.
It seems like he had so many more yards.
Some of that's baked into there, but 13 carries for 23 yards. You're going to take that, right? That's a win. For a guy as mobile and dynamic with his legs as Aiden Childs, that is a win. That's a win for Nebraska.
100%.
I don't know how else to put it. As a team, Michigan State ran for 84 yards, 2.2 yards per carry. That's a win. That's what you wanted.
Beautiful.
Right?
That's what
I wanted.
They're making open field tackles. Oh yeah, 100%. That is what you want. You said it all week. All 2 weeks.
Yeah. Make a beat you in the air. And guess what? 156 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. We win, right? That's
and once again, the only quarterback to pass for more than 100 yards was that 2 weeks ago. Was that Underwood?
105.
Because Childs had 85 and number 11 for Michigan State had 71. How do you pronounce his name?
Let me look at it again. I was
Milivojevic?
Milivojevic. Yeah, I think it's Milivojevic.
Sure. I'm going to say Alicio. That's his first name. Alicio had 71 yards.
Alicio. No, yeah, like it was a, and guess what? Childs had 0 of the 1 touchdown passes and both of the interceptions. Like Nebraska.
Deshaun Singleton was robbed of a touchdown.
Yeah, and honestly, there should have been another one. I mean, listen, it was a forward pass. I get that. It wasn't by much, but it was a forward pass. Shavers probably should have had an interception on one that was picked over the middle. But I'll tell you what, I was much happier with how they used Shavers in this game compared to the first 4. I was much happier.
We're talking about Shavers throughout the week, and he did great. They were bringing him on pass rushes. He was getting in there, beating the tackles, beating the guards, causing havoc. A whole bunch of he had a few TFLs, and he just seemed like he was everywhere. He had 2 TFLs, 9 total tackles, 6 of them solo. Vincent Shavers was making his presence. That single digit number, that black shirt, he was making his presence felt.
Yeah, like that was maybe start to finish his best game. I'm gonna have to go on rewatch. That start to finish, that may have been his best game as a Husker. I was super impressed. I felt like they were using him to his strengths, the best they had at any point over the course of his year and a half at Nebraska.
Utilizing his speed.
Utilizing his speed, his hair on fire, get downhill. You know, there were even some times, and listen, this was kind of out there because I had seen it. I mean, I went to the one open practice that was publicly available, the full one, right? The 1891.
Yep.
That's the only one. That's the only time I saw them in anything that was not on television, and that was publicly available, right? So I'm not hitting you with insider knowledge or anything.
Insider Ravi.
He played a handful of snaps because I was obsessed with watching the D line and the jacks and the O line pretty much that entire scrimmage because I was like, I know Dylan's good, whatever, right? So I was watching those guys almost the entire practice, and that's when I was like, oh, McCullough's like good. And they only moved him down to sort of a jack type spot a handful of reps in that practice. Now that was early and it was, situational stuff. So I didn't know how much they were going to use him there. We really didn't see him that much in the first 4 games used in that way. But I was kind of talking to some people on, I think it was Yodi on Twitter. He listens to the more, he interacts with us a lot. And I was like, yeah, I'd kind of like to see them use almost like it's depending on how you classify them. It's either like a 5-3 or a 3-5 front, basically, where you have your 3 down linemen like they normally do. And then I wanted to see him use McCullough and Shavers toward the line of scrimmage at the same time. Right.
Okay.
And we actually saw that today, like a decent amount, like whether it was on the outside with Shavers or if he was kind of picking a gap up the middle, like they actually saw them do that with Shavers and then with Wright as well, with David Wright a few times. And I was really happy about that. I thought that was super effective. And I think that's a path forward for them where if your defensive line is going to play neutral as opposed to actively, which I thought they played better than neutral today. But for the first 4 games, they played neutral a lot and not actively winning, not actively losing, but just kind of holding it up. Like I thought if that's how your defensive line is going to play, you probably need a couple more dynamic guys that can sort of hybrid drop into coverage when they have to do that kind of thing. And so I was like, hey, maybe we get Shavers downhill a little bit more. Maybe we get him a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. And we saw a lot of that today, whether it was Shavers, whether it was Wright. Those were the 2 main guys that we saw doing that. And I was really pleased. If you look at Javen Wright had 3.5 tackles for loss and half a sack. Vincent Shavers had 2 tackles for loss. Those 2 guys also, and you can't just box score watch. Those 2 guys also led the team in tackles today. But if you dial in on what they were actually doing, I thought those guys had really good games. And I think it's because they used them a little bit differently.
Oh, yeah. Vincent Shavers was all over the field. It seemed like just about every play, it was either him or Javen Wright or heck, even Sierra Wright was getting in there and mixing things up from his corner position, getting in there and getting a few tackles for himself. So Nebraska's defense was showing up big. And yeah, you're right. Putting Vincent Shavers and Deshaun McCullough on the edges, they were causing havoc. The defensive line was, as you and Damon have said, they were winning the line of scrimmage more often than not. And I'll let you get on
Yeah.
your defensive line soapbox here in a little bit, because they were pushing people around for the most part. And again, shutting down the Michigan State run for a while and getting those two on the edges and rushing the passer. I understand that he didn't get the tackle, but getting in there on Aiden Childs, and I know he scored the touchdown on that run, but how quickly he got there. You're not going to face many more quarterbacks this season that are going to be able to do what he did. And if McCullough and Shavers are going to be able to get to into the backfield as quickly as they did today, you are going to get more TFLs, more sacks, more whatever, more rushes on the quarterback than less. If they're able to do that and the defensive line is able to win the way that they were today, I don't hear many people saying they're not big enough and they're not strong enough to shut down the run after that performance.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just going to go down the line here real quick. Williams-Nwaneri had a great game, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss. Cam Lenhart had that game-clinching sack at the very end there. Thought he played well. Elijah Judy had tackle for loss and a sack. I thought he played well.
It's a big Spider-Man.
Yeah, that is a big Spider-Man.
That's a big Spider-Man.
I mean, don't look now. Elijah Judy's looked good for a couple weeks. So like keep an eye on that. I thought I'll have to rewatch. I thought despite not having any of those finishing plays, I thought Riley Van Poppel when he was in there played pretty well. I thought he was winning his matchups. I'll have to go back and look for sure. I thought he was winning his matchups as well. But those are your four main defensive linemen that were playing, and I thought they all played well. I think that's part of the reason Shavers and Wright and McCullough play well. The one thing I will say about McCullough on that play that you brought up, I need him to keep his outside leverage a little bit better so that Childs has a harder time breaking it to the outside, right? If he keeps his outside leverage a little bit better, his friends are in the middle. Like, send him to your friends, right? Like, the help is in the middle. So, like,
that's one of those where he saw his back and he thought, I'm going to light him up and he's going to fumble this ball. So he went way too hard and couldn't break it down when he spun away from him.
He went kill shot. Yeah. And with a guy
he's like, I'm going to end
dynamic,
this. I'm going to end this game.
Yeah. You got to be a little bit more disciplined when you a guy as dynamic as Aiden Childs was. So, but overall, I mean, I thought it was great play from the Jacks. I thought it was great play from the linebackers. I thought it was great play from the defensive line. That's a group that, again, I was talking to my buddy Tim yesterday, who was in town, and I was like, you have to remember, this is the worst Williams-Nwaneri will likely ever be. This is the worst version of him we're ever going to get. Like, if everything is normal, right? Like, this is
if he just progresses incrementally.
Yeah, if he just has a normal progression throughout the rest of his career here, and like, knock on wood, nothing like doesn't get derailed by anything. This is likely the worst version of Williams-Nwaneri we're ever going to get, and he's already very good. Like, that is
causing havoc.
And from week to week to week, he looks better every single week. Like, every single week, that man looks better. And again, this is likely the worst it's ever going to be, which is incredible to think about. Just a reminder, much like young Williams here, youngest team in the Big Ten, right? Youngest team in the Big Ten. So, like, I don't want to address the like super niche comments that were in my mentions, but like when you're getting overly emotional and those emotions are not playing themselves out in a productive way on the internet, which sometimes they don't, whatever. Like, let's just keep that in mind as we're watching this team develop and turn into what I think can still be a very good team. I mean, they're 4-1. They're 4-1. Like, this is
the world is their oyster.
This is a 4-1 football team. They're going to go out to Maryland next week, right? Get that first road game under their belt. Maryland looked like world beaters for a half against Washington. Weren't able to hold on to that one. If you weren't watching that game, that was pretty interesting as well. Like, Maryland's gonna be tougher than we thought, but that's not an unwinnable game on the road. It's certainly not.
I would say that's another athletic quarterback, but you showed that you can keep him in check.
Yeah, get it in. Like, you got to be disciplined. You got to run those lanes the way you need to, and I feel like they did a much better job, obviously, on the run game as well. Austin, I think you got a couple tweets up here that you wanted to throw out there. Do we have those? We can throw those up a little bit.
Yeah, let me throw this one on there. Husker Gami, 38-27.
Oh, there we go.
581st unique score combination in school history.
See,
Not only was it
yeah. Go ahead.
I would say not only was it a win and a good performance by Nebraska, but you also get some history.
Also, like, that's weird because that's not that strange of a score.
No, it's really not.
Like that's a reasonably normal score. You got 5 touchdowns and a field goal. You got 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, or 4 touchdowns and this extra. Like that.
Yeah,
that's
the
a pretty
extra,
like,
the miss going for 2.
But 27 is not a weird number to get. People get 20, like that.
You see 27 a lot.
That's weird to be a Husker. Like, I'm surprised by that. Let's see. I think we've got one from Michael Rose Ivy as well. Let's throw
Michael Rose Ivy. Oh, let me throw that up there. Austin. Insufferable Husker fans. Yes, the game wasn't perfect. We won. I'm gonna fight you. So I'm gonna save the woe is me.
Who you gonna fight?
He's not wrong. We said that we were talking about that at the beginning of the show. You won the game. It's not a beauty contest. All right. You won.
Listen, man,
38-27. You did they cover the spread? I don't know if they covered the spread. I don't know what it finished at. But
it depends on when you got it. That's all. Like it depends.
You won by 11. You won by 11 points. You won by more than one score.
I almost nailed it, by the way. I said 38-24. I almost nailed that score. Like, I'll be honest, I did not think that's how it was going to play out. That was a pretty weird one.
Not at all.
But I'm pretty happy with how close I came with it. I will say, I understand the frustration. I do think we need some reminders sometimes. Nebraska loses this game 100 times out of 100 over the last decade. 100 times out of 100. Like, I'm not giving them a single W in the last decade with this type of game and the way it played out, right? So, like, that matters.
And this isn't a one-score loss in the last decade. Like, the way that this game was playing out in the second and third quarter, this is a 21-point loss. Like, you get blown out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, much like the Michigan game, honestly, except for Michigan's better than Michigan State. When Nebraska goes down early like that, like, Nebraska gets blown out in a lot of those games the way that started against Michigan 2 weeks ago, right? The way things happen in the middle of this game against Michigan State, Nebraska gets blown out in a lot of those games. So, we got to remember where the progress is happening, right? Got to remember where the progress is happening. Special teams was incredible today. Like,
beautiful.
How great is it to say that and not be being sarcastic, right? Like, how awesome is it to say the special teams were incredible and to mean it with your full chest? Like, and it was almost even better. Like, Barney almost had a touchdown. Obviously, at the block punt touchdown, you had the fumble recovery on the kickoff. Archie pinned him at the 9-yard line when they had to have it. Like, the only even sort of we don't love how the special teams looked was exclusively a result of the win of the punts. Right? That was exclusively the only reason you wouldn't have loved any part of the special teams there. So, like,
Archie averaged 30 yards a punt on his 4 punts. He had 120 yards punting, pinned him inside the 20 twice, and his longest of the day was 46 yards. Like, you have that going for you. Kyle Cunanan's 1 for 1 from 27. And even then, like, I'm sitting there and I understand that it's different, but I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, all right, he's got the wind at his back. It's a weird angle. I don't know. This is going to be his first field goal. It's kind of in a pressure situation. I know it's a different special teams unit, but I'm a little nervous. And then he nails it. I'm like, we're fine. We're fine. It's fine. It's fine. I don't need to worry about that. I don't know why I'm worried about that. You don't have any kick returns because the only time you were able to get a kick return was in, again, the second and third quarter when it was getting blasted out of the back of the end zone. And then the onside kick, which you're not returning anyways. Shout out to Dane Key, who didn't have a single catch today, but had that one catch on the onside kick, which was big. And then, recovery, like you said, you almost had a punt return for a touchdown, if not for a ticky-tack block in the back. And he had some really good returns on that. He averaged 20.3.
He had a 57. He had a 57-yard return that he did not score on. He had a 57-yard return. And then he had another
And Nebraska
touchdown
got
that was
sacked all 3 times.
called back.
Yep.
So, like, that's like the special teams were great. That's a thing that it's fun to say out loud and mean it. Like we talked about the defense. There were times I thought when the offense was able to get in a rhythm that they scored 38 points, 31 on offense. They scored 31 offensive points in a conference game. Like, that's a good number. I get it.
Even if you take the blocked punt for a touchdown out, you still won the game.
Yeah, I mean, you got 31 offensive points in a conference game against a team with a winning record. Like, that's a win. Like, that's a step in the right direction. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Were there times in the middle where you're like, oh my God, what's happening? Absolutely. But sometimes I think, especially right after games, right? Because we get, and myself included, we get super emotional during games, right? And we're like, you're like gripping the wheel super tight. But then you kind of, you like 30,000 foot view it for a minute afterwards. You go, okay, if I look at all the things that happened, actually probably better than I thought, right? Like, very easily could have been a 17-point win, ends up being an 11-point win. Like, that's a good win, right? Like, that's a conference win. Scored 31 offensive points. If you told people coming in the year, hey, you're going to score 31 you're going to score your first 2 conference games of the season, you're going to 27 and 31 points on offense. People probably take that. Like, people probably take that coming off the last couple of years where the offense struggled. Like, there's things where you kind of have to rise above what we saw happen and what we felt like happened in the moment and look at what actually happened and say, okay, maybe it was a little better than I thought it was. And then you sift through and say, okay, what are the things that my emotions lined up with the accuracy of what was happening? And some of those are like, okay, probably still need a little bit better lane integrity on some of the defensive stuff, right? Like that probably cost him at least 1 touchdown. Definitely need to still get better on the offensive line, right? Definitely still need to get better about getting rid of the ball if we're Dylan. Definitely need to get better about climbing the pocket more consistently if we're Dylan. But all that being said, still a double-digit conference win with those things to work on. And, like, listen, I get that Maryland's better than we thought and some of these other things, right? But I still don't know if Maryland's better than Michigan State. I don't know. Like, Washington was the first decent team Maryland has played. Like, I know Wisconsin held in there for a little while with Michigan today, and we can go through the Big Ten Conference scoreboard if you want. But, like, I know Wisconsin held in there for a while with Michigan today, but that was a 17-point game for most of the fourth quarter. And, Michigan didn't feel like a lot of danger for them.
No, not really.
I watched that whole game. Like, yes, it was tighter than you wanted it to be for a lot of that game if you're Michigan. It also didn't ever feel like to me that Wisconsin was going to win that game. So I don't know what to do with that.
Michigan ever felt like they were in danger against Wisconsin. I just feel like a lot of it felt like they had their head coach back and he changed what they wanted to do on offense because they were not running with Bryce Underwood.
I was going to say, like, it seems like Biff Poggi has a better grasp, or Poggi, however you say it, has a better grasp on how to use Bryce Underwood at this point than Sherrone Moore does. And that's a weird thing to say. But I also, we don't know for sure that Sherrone Moore is a good head coach yet. Like, we actually don't know that. And so I don't know, maybe for this particular weird circumstances, Biff Poggi has a better, like, grasp on what this team is or should be, or what Bryce Underwood is or should be as a true freshman. But real quick, let's run down the scoreboard. Obviously, Nebraska wins 38-27. In progress, Ohio State up early in the second quarter, 7-3 on Minnesota. Keep an eye on that one as Nebraska plays them in a couple weeks on a Friday. As we mentioned earlier, big upset. UCLA 42-37. And let me tell you, they were dog walking Penn State for a while there.
James.
We love James Franklin. They were not locked in on being 1-0 against.
Let's do this together, Nittany Nation. We need everyone, students, facility, lettermen, alumni, and fans worldwide locked in on being 1-0 against UCLA Saturday. As my wife said, for Penn State. We are not good. They have not had a good weekend.
It's been a rough 7 days. It's been a rough 7 days.
Not a great weekend for Penn State athletics.
For James Franklin and Penn State. Yeah, they 25-6 in a Big Ten versus Big Ten match is tough to swallow if you weren't watching the Husker volleyball match last night. But
I understand
UCLA
we're doing
upsets
football right now, but can I say something real quick about the volleyball match? So it was over in like 72 or not 72, like 70, I don't know, 72 minutes, whatever it was. It was like barely an hour and a half, kind of whatever. Mm-hmm. They had to play 30 straight minutes of commercials just to fulfill the obligations that they had. And then they had to play a Danny Busboom Kelly special type thing that they had. I don't know when they were going to play it or how they were going to work that in, but they had to play that at the end, again, just to fill the time slot for Nebraska Penn State. That's how quickly Nebraska destroyed the Nittany Lions in volleyball the other day.
So yeah, bad weekend to be a Nittany Lion. They lose 42-37 for UCLA's first win of the season, which is a tough look. I am actually glad that UCLA got a win because I always feel a little weird. Like you have to be really, really bad to go 0-12.
Yeah.
And just for like, you don't want to be like game number 8 or 9 or 10 in that stretch. And you're like, I'd prefer you guys had a win by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't
want to be you don't want to be the first one.
Well, and I think about it as in basketball a lot where you're in conference play and somebody who's like bad but not horrible is on like a 6-game losing streak or something. You're like, they're not going to lose the rest of them, so you'd rather they get their one before they see you. I'm glad
at some point these shots are going to fall.
Yeah,
at some point they're going to score touchdowns. Like Nico, I understand how much people made fun of him and how he's not a good quarterback. He's bad. Tennessee propped him up, but I don't think he's that bad of a quarterback. So at some point, UCLA, with all the talent that they have, because they do have talent, was going to start scoring the ball. And unfortunately for Penn State, it was against them.
They have some talent. They don't have a lot of talent. They have some talent.
No,
although
that's what I'm saying. They're not the most talented team in the Big Ten, but they're certainly not the worst.
Nico did only throw for 166 yards today. He did run the ball really well. He ran for like 130 and 3 touchdowns.
He had 128 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns.
Ran the ball really well, but it's funny because that's not really what he typically does. Michigan beat, as we mentioned, Michigan beat Wisconsin 24-10. We are on pass the bag around Madison to see if we can start a GoFundMe to fire Luke Fickell watch. Illinois has a 27-point explosion in the second quarter to beat Purdue 43-27. As I mentioned, Washington knocked off Maryland for Maryland's first loss with a big fourth quarter, 21 points in the fourth quarter for Washington to win that thing 24-20. And that's then, crazy. Northwestern, it was close early, 7-7 after 1 for Northwestern and UL Monroe, but Northwestern did prevail. So they're 3-2
not a conference game
season as well. Yeah, that famously not a conference game. UL Monroe did not make the cut for the AAU for the Big Ten. Around the top 25 real quick, and then we'll take and then we'll wrap up thoughts on Nebraska here. But around the top 20, Miami on Florida State at the end of the first 7-3. Texas Tech putting it on Houston 22-3 about halfway through the second. Ohio State now up 13-3. I believe extra point pending on Minnesota. Mississippi State up 0 halfway through the second on A&M. And then some finals. Oklahoma 44-0 over Kent State. Florida.
Hold on. Before you move on, prayers up to the Oklahoma wide receiver who smacked his head on the brick wall behind their end zone.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I don't know why you have a brick wall like 2 strides from the back of your end zone, but maybe move that.
Yeah, not great. Florida beat Texas 29-21. There we had your boy DJ Lagway out there. Shout out.
Not my boy. Don't do that.
Shout out to Tim Verghese for finally getting some points. Shout out to you guys for Arch Manning for not getting any points there.
Yeah, I don't know if we got anything.
You're gonna have you're going to have 1 point, I think, right? Because the touchdown and interceptions cancel themselves out, but you get 1 point for the 200 and you lost, so you don't get 2 there. I think you get 1 point for March today. Congrats.
Well, I'll have to see his rushing yards. I don't know what he ran for.
Oh, yeah. We don't know what he ran for today. Let's
he
see
had
what we got.
37 yards and no touchdown, no points.
Yeah, so you get 1 point from Arch today for the 250 yards. Congrats on that one. So Florida beats Texas, which is objectively hilarious. Alabama takes care of Vanderbilt 30-14, covering the spread there. That was tied 14-14 at halftime, so you don't get 2 points from Diego Pavia this week either. Georgia 35-14 over Kentucky. Cincinnati, that of losing to Nebraska. Cincinnati knocked off number 14 Iowa State 38-30. That was a first loss of the season for Iowa State. Top 15 win for Cincinnati. And let me tell you, they were dog walking them early. That thing was like 24-7 at one point.
I got a question.
What's up?
Does Cincinnati get ranked before Nebraska?
It's entirely possible, which would be
because they're on a 4-game win streak. 4-game win streak, and they just knocked off number 14.
It would also make me pretty mad. I'm just going to be honest with you.
They're pretty dumb.
And then Virginia technically upset Louisville, even though they were the ranked team and Louisville was not. Louisville was a 6.5-point favorite there. Showing that was an overtime. That was an overtime win. Showing win against Florida State. Not totally a fluke, 30-27. And then last night, BYU took care of business against West Virginia, 38-24. Shout out Cougs. That is what happened in the rest of college football over this weekend so far. Rico, any final thoughts on Nebraska?
Final thoughts on Nebraska. First off, fans, calm down. It was a win. It didn't look pretty for 2 quarters, but it looked real pretty for 2 other quarters. Now those quarters were at the beginning and the end, but I don't care. It was a win for Nebraska. I'm going to say it was a good game for Nebraska. Calm down. Next week, you've got another athletic quarterback, but you've shown that you can improve and fix the mistakes that beat you or hurt you before. So I believe that Nebraska fans should have faith in this coaching staff, not want anybody fired quite yet. The season is still young. And Dylan Raiola, throw the ball, please. Just throw it. Just throw the ball.
Just a little bit quicker. A little bit quicker.
That's it.
Listen.
That's it.
Listen, we love our boy Dylan. We will stand for Dylan Raiola. I need you to get rid of the ball a little bit faster. Need you to get a little. Just get rid of the ball a bit faster.
It's like there's like a half a second faster.
Yeah, like if you don't have it, like I need the clock in your head just to be like 1 Mississippi, like do old school. Like when you're playing football in elementary school, you're like 5 Mississippi rush. Don't get to 5, Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get that thing out. Yeah, let's maybe if you're at 3. Let's just go ahead and find somewhere to throw that ball away safely.
Yeah,
you know.
And final thought is Nebraska's defensive backs and pass defense. I'm about to say it, and I know that it's gonna be made fun of or taken the wrong. Nebraska's pass defense is elite.
Hot take, Rico.
I don't care what you say. That's elite. That is an elite pass defense.
When the most yards you've given up through 5 games is 150 through the air. Pretty good. I will take that. Yeah. I will take that. That's a W for sure. Aiden Childs had been playing well. Obviously Brennan Sorsby has been just wrecking people since he
just slanging the rock.
Like since he had spent his time in Kansas City against Nebraska. Our guy Sorsby has been getting after it pretty aggressively.
He said, I'm going to throw for 67 yards in the first drive of every other game.
Honestly, it was his worst game of the season against Iowa State. So after Nebraska, still threw for 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. So pretty good day at the office there. He also ran for an additional 64 yards and a touchdown. So, it could have been worse, Nebraska fans. He could have ran for a lot and passed for a lot, like Iowa State got that medicine earlier today. But no, I mean, for me, Dylan just need to get that clock in his head sped up a little bit. I know he wants to make a play. Sometimes it's about surviving to the next play, right? Like, don't put yourself in some of those positions, right? Some of that's on the offensive line, and I need that to do a little bit better. But for the most part, I would say vast majority of the dropbacks, Center guard center has held up well. You're going to have a lane to step up into. All right. Like we're not a bail out the backside type of quarterback. Let's not do that anymore. Like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Let's throw that rock. Let's go.
Step forward and run like you did today.
Yeah. He had a couple runs, got a first down. Like I like that. I appreciate that out of our guy Dylan. But again, true sophomore, still working on things. I will definitely take him over most of the guys in the country. That's a performance that, and again, even from Dylan, where struggled for much of the game, didn't even throw the ball much in the first half, ended up having himself a nice game, help Nebraska win that game for sure. Just can't say enough about the special teams. Thank you to our Lord and Savior Mike Eckler. We appreciate you. We love you. Whatever they're paying you, whoever has those checkbooks, just go ahead and double it. Like, you're not going anywhere, bud. You're going to stay.
I would say whatever they're paying you, I'll double it, but I won't. So
not me personally. Not
find somebody else to double it.
But
I think
someone else.
Let's take the bag that we were going to pass around in Wisconsin and let's pass it around. Let's pass around Nebraska to give Mike Eckler more money.
They had Larry, the cable guy, on the broadcast there. Just ask Larry, be like, "Hey, you like the special teams, Larry? Let's keep this train rolling."
Hey, Larry.
Mike Eckler, Adam Devine was there. Like, just like between the two of them, you guys can split it however you want. You know, like a check at dinner. You just make sure that Mike Eckler never coaches anywhere but the University of Nebraska ever again. Okay?
Yeah,
that's what That's what we're on. That's what.
Oh, you like a guy from Millard South?
Also,
is that?
What's Mike Eckler's not from Millard South?
No, Adam Devine is.
Oh, well, once he's graduated, we'll grandfather him into the Omaha guy. They were bad at football when he was there, so it's fine.
He's also a big fan of Hail Varsity, is what he said. So he might be listening. Shout out to you.
Oh, Adam. There we go. Adam, let's go, bud. Yeah, I mean, still not a big Millard South guy, but we'll make an exception for you. Once you graduate, we're all Omaha guys, so it's cool.
Yeah, whatever.
But except for you, you're Bellevue. No, I'm just kidding. T-Birds. No, I mean, yeah, I would, in all seriousness, never let that man coach anywhere but the University of Nebraska ever again. I don't care what happens. Like, he needs to stay here. He needs to live here. He needs to coach here for the rest of his life. Like, that is that's a must for me. And defensively, like, let's keep at it. I want to see that. I want to keep that defensive line continuing to develop, because I'm going to tell you what, and by the end of the year, I'm going to be right about that defensive line. By the end of the year, I'm going to be right about that. I'm not. I don't wait much longer. They were pretty good today.
You keep waiting. I don't think you're gonna be wrong. Just keep waiting. We'll see when the breakout is. This is the best that they've played so far this year.
We're almost there. Winery's starting to cause like a lot of problems for people.
Yeah.
Judy's playing his best football this season, the last 2 games. This is like, they're on their way. They're on their way. And I can't wait for it to reach full form there. But anything else, Rico?
Offensive line, you guys need to calm down on. Like you said, center, guard, center, guard. They did pretty well. They're still a pretty solid unit right there. Tackle wise, they were breaking in 2 new starters at tackle. And I think that they held up pretty well. I think Elijah Pritchett, outside of the one false start, granted it was at a pretty key moment, but whatever. He played really well.
There's one every game.
If he has one false start every game, I think you'll take how well he played today.
I mean, that's what I said. Like, when you're watching some of the previous games, I was like, I'll take the one false start over what we've been seeing, right? So, yes, they still need to get better. Yes, they need to gel as a unit. I'm not going to try and convince you that they had a great game today, but I will try and convince you that it was better than it looked. And I'm going to be honest, anytime you can score 31 offensive points against a Big Ten team, the offensive line couldn't have been as horrific as people seem to think it was online.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I understand how frustrating, demoralizing, and frankly pissing you off it can be to watch that happen. Part of that, Dylan's got to help him out, and part of that, they need to get a little bit better. Like, all those things can be true at once, but let's chill on the firings. Let's chill on the bench. Everybody, let's chill a little.
Just chill.
A little patience. It's a double-digit conference win.
Yep,
it's a double-digit conference.
They were
win.
Eating W's. They were eating W's today. Calm down.
In not ideal conditions.
Yes.
right? In not ideal conditions.
And another thing, I just have a lot of other things. Like one last thing.
Yeah.
Emmett Johnson, only player with double-digit carries in the running game. 83 yards, 3 touchdowns for him. What was the thing that they had in store that they told us about? Because I didn't see it.
So I think it was on the second drive, I think. It was the 2-back set that they had with Mekhi Nelson and Isaiah Mosey. Both of those guys got carries on that drive.
Mhm.
And then it seemed like they kind of bailed on it. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe Emmett was playing so well, they were like, maybe we're just gonna stick with Emmett.
But
He
Mekhi
also
had
had
1 carry for 11 yards, and then you
It was
never
a good
handed it
carry.
back off to him.
It was a good carry. It certainly was. To be fair, they also didn't run a lot of plays in the middle of the game there. Like, they
Yeah,
didn't run a lot of
there is that.
offensive plays.
Yeah.
Like, they just did not run a lot of offensive plays in the middle of the game. So, I think that's part of it. I mean, they only ran 55 plays as an offense.
So
That's
until the
not
fourth quarter, shout out to I'll give him a shout out, Sean Callahan, who made the discovery that the fourth quarter first drive for Nebraska in the fourth quarter was the second drive that they had with the wind all game. They had
Yeah.
one drive with the wind in the first quarter, and they didn't get the ball back in the first quarter.
Yeah, they scored on that one, and then they got it back. And yes, so they only ran 55 offensive plays. So I'm guessing throughout the course of the rest of the season, we will continue to see the development of that number 2 back. I know that's been a point of frustration for people, but again, like Emmett Johnson had 20 touches for 120 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, like,
I'd take that.
I'm cool with that. Like, I'm not like, yeah, maybe you want Emmett Johnson to get, you know, maybe 25 touches, but we're kind of
Yeah.
splitting hairs a little bit at that point,
Yeah.
like,
Well, you don't want him to get too many. Remember,
right?
that's
Because
too many touches.
he had 31 or whatever against Cincinnati, and we were all like,
Just
whoa, easy,
That's
bud.
too many touches. You don't. What do you not have a backup running back? You don't have a number 2? You're going to hand this guy the ball
Yeah.
13 times? Calm down.
So
What are you doing?
you're somewhere. I think somewhere between 20 and 25 touches is the right number. He had 19 today, so I think that's a good way to start. We got a couple more tweets up here. We want to throw those up there. Those look
Yeah, let me throw
interesting.
those up there.
I
Let
can't
me
read
throw
them,
these up
but
here real
they
quick.
seem interesting.
Michael Severo, last series Nebraska's defense allowed its first pass play of 20 plus this season.
Yes. So that was that one to the running back number 7 Tullis on that one, and then it looks like we got one from Arbitrary Analytics as well.
We love Arbitrary Analytics. With the Michigan State passing performance today, the Huskers fall to second for passing yards allowed through 5 games at 459 passing yards allowed. 2014 San Jose State claims the top spot at 448 passing yards allowed.
I'm going to look that team up. I guarantee you they played a service academy. I guarantee it. I'm looking it up right now. So I'm going to need you to stop for a second.
You do that because, like I said before, this pass defense for Nebraska is elite. They have been fantastic to start the season, holding their opponents to under 100 yards passing in all but one game. I mean, they had to combine 100 yards today for Michigan State, but under 100 yards or just a little bit over 100 yards passing, under 200 yards, we'll just put it at there, every single game for Nebraska's pass defense. And I understand, oh, well, they're getting run all over and the defense is giving up a lot of rope. Shut your mouth. Shut up. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. They're stopping teams from passing the ball. And teams are like, well, I guess we're going to have to run the ball now. I understand Michigan just ran the ball because they didn't have to pass it, but other teams have kind of been forced into it. And some teams have decided to go away from the run and keep trying to pass it, and Nebraska still stopped them. Andrew Marshall, Sierra Wright doing a fantastic job. I would say on the boundaries, but Sierra Wright was in the slot a decent amount today. I think he was shadowing Michigan State's best receiver and did a great job of shutting him down.
He was shadowing Kelly. He wasn't shadowing Marsh. Marsh was
not
on
Marshall.
Yeah,
Marsh
yeah.
was
So
on,
Marshall was on Marsh. I know
Okay.
that's confusing, but
Yeah,
Sierra, I believe, was shadowing Kelly, who was also very, very good. I mean,
okay. Well, then let's put it this way: Sierra Wright.
Marsh is bigger.
Yeah. Okay. So Sierra Wright held Omari Kelly to 1 reception for 9 yards, and Andrew Marshall held Nick Marsh to 4 receptions for 41 yards. And as you and DB mentioned this week, DB and Austin mentioned this week, Michigan State's receiving core is
Really
pretty damn good.
Really, really good.
Pretty damn good. And Nebraska's pass defense Shut them down. Shut them down.
Did McCray have any receptions?
He had 1 for 14.
He's also very good. Like I mean, honestly, I don't think I'm exaggerating here. That might be the best wide receiver core Nebraska plays all year. Like that's a very, very good group. Marsh is a first or second round guy next year when he's eligible. Kelly's a really, really good player. McCray's a good player. I think he's super young also. Like that is a super good wide receiver core that I'm incredibly impressed with the performance Nebraska put on. Okay, so 2014 San Jose State. So I was wrong. They didn't play Navy until their 7th game of the season. So that is not part of this statistic. Here's what happened, though. They played North Dakota in their first game. So
they don't pass much. They like to run.
And also, North Dakota wasn't good in 2014. They played a Gus Malzahn Auburn team, which means they were basically running a service academy offense. And they lost that game 59-13. So Auburn was not running the ball, or was not throwing the ball at all. No. They also lost to a Minnesota team, which famously does not throw the ball frequently. Nevada, which I know nothing about 2014 Nevada. I don't have that Rolodex on me right now.
Was that not Pistol Nevada still?
I think it was. I think that's Chris Alt, Nevada.
Then that was still running.
Yeah, still quite a bit of running there. And then you've got UNLV that they beat 33-10. So, I mean, context is important here. I don't think they were playing Brendan Sorsby at any point.
Nope.
I don't think they were playing. I could guarantee you there's not a 5-star in there, because I'm pretty sure Auburn 2014 was running Nick Marshall out at quarterback, who was.
Don't you disrespect Nick Marshall?
No, he was a good quarterback for that system, but was not like a He was not like a terrifying passing threat. Minnesota, don't know who their quarterback was. Don't care. Doesn't matter.
Was Jerry Kill still the coach there?
I believe that's the Jerry Kill era. Yeah. I believe that is the Jerry Kill era. Yeah. Which is
shout out to Jerry Kill.
Famously not an offensive explosion era for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So yeah, I mean, shout out to San Jose State. I will take Nebraska's pass defense over that one. I'll take it.
Yeah, 100%. And Dion Pryor 9, I think we can get to a bowl game this year, which with 2 bowls in a row would be an absolute miracle. They're going to a bowl game this year. They are getting 6 wins this year. That's going to happen. That's not even. They're going to be over 6 wins.
I mean, I don't know.
What is that? I don't mean to be rude, Dion, but they're getting over 6.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I wonder.
What are we doing?
Sometimes we don't like to have nice things. Or I think sometimes we're afraid to embrace that this might be a pretty good football team. I think we talked to Guy Rosenberg yesterday, the Elkhorn South head football coach on the morning show, Hurrdat Sports Live. And we can end it here. But he talked about how a lot of people, rather than competing or rather than putting themselves in a position to find out how good they really are, will shy away from that so that they can just say, man, it's, you have an excuse instead. Right. Because sometimes knowing for a fact is harder than being able to use the excuse or to use the this happened and that happened and whatever. Right. It's the no offense. It's the Uncle Rico, right? I could, back in high school, I could throw a pigskin over them mountains, or if the JV coach didn't have it out for me, I'd have made it. And it's listen, man, that's you put it out there. Just put it all out there, and see what happens.
Just be honest with yourself.
Well, and just not even just that, but be okay with finding out. Be okay with finding out that Nebraska might be a pretty good football team. You might get disappointed, but guess what? If you couch it now and they end up being pretty good, imagine all this time that you wasted not enjoying it.
You could have had a much happier season, but you decided to be a negative Nelly, a negative Nancy, whatever you want to call it, for the season, thinking, they're not that good. They're not that good. And then they end up being pretty good. And you're like, still don't believe it. They got lucky.
Yeah.
We had that in the chat. Somebody said, we got lucky to win this game. No. It's a good team.
They're up by 17 with 3 minutes left, man. What are we doing? They were up by 17 with 3 minutes left. They were closer to winning that game by 30 points than they were losing that game. Like, I don't know what get lucky is. Like, there's
They were
no
not lucky to win this game.
They had two touchdowns. They had 2 touchdowns taken off the board.
That's lucky for UCLA. Or not UCLA. That's lucky for Michigan State. I still got UCLA on the brain. That was crazy.
I know. Like, I can't believe what happened today. But like that's not lucky. They got hammered. Like that. They got hammered on some bad luck.
Yeah.
Like, they got hammered on it. And you go, this is how games play out. You know, sometimes you get a personal foul call here. Sometimes you get a bounce there. Like, there wasn't a boogeyman the last decade. Nebraska didn't have it mentally to be where they needed to be to win games like this.
Mm-hmm. The ball is weirdly shaped. It bounces weird.
That's the Matt Rule year 3 difference. It's like, that's the time when he's got the culture right. And listen, I don't know what that looks like this year for Nebraska. I don't. But I do know for the last decade, talent has not been the problem. They only went to 1 bowl game before last year. Mm-hmm. That wasn't it. It was up here. It was right here. Right? Like, those are the 2 things that mattered the most when Nebraska was struggling for most of the past decade. That wasn't a talent issue. Was it a talent issue when they went into like Ohio State? Sure. But
yeah, that's different.
8-4, 9-3 wasn't getting to that wasn't a talent issue. That was a here and here issue. Right? So when you're doing this and you're going, oh, we got lucky. It's like, no. Nebraska made their own luck. They blocked the punt. They got the fumble recovery on the kickoff. They had a touchdown return called back. They had a defensive touchdown called back. They're the ones that got Aiden Childs to throw 2 interceptions. They're the ones that figured out how to get home when it mattered. Cam Lenhart late to seal that game. Like, they're the ones that did that. That's not luck. That was, we stuck through the crap part of the game in order to get to a point where we could have an opportunity to make plays and win. That is a thing that really happened. I'm like, if it wasn't luck when Nebraska was going 3-9, it's not luck now. I'm not doing that. If I could sit here and say, like, hey, take accountability for what happened, well, take accountability for what happens when it goes good too, right? Like, listen, I'm a beat my chest guy, right? That means I have to eat it the rest of the time too, and I will, right? But right now, you're winning that game by 17 points with 3 minutes left. What are we talking about luck? What are we talking about luck when you had 2 touchdowns taken off the board? What are we talking about? Quit couching your expectations because you're afraid. That's the thing that's bothered me about Nebraska football, the coaching staff. I think some of the players were couching their expectations in previous years because they were afraid. Mm-hmm. And if they couched it themselves, then they had the excuse instead of knowing for a fact whether or not they were good enough. Guess what? I did that for 30 years of my life, and it sucked. And then I went through a lot of therapy, and I don't do that anymore. And it's better. My life the last 8 years, and I tell you, it is a line in the sand, man. Like, it is like Metallica, Sandman, like line in the sand. I could tell you unequivocally when my life changed, and it's when I stopped doing that crap. And listen, some people force me into it. I'm not going to lie. Like, going through a divorce and stuff, like, it forces you into some things, right? But you can make excuses in that moment, or you can own it, and you can figure out what happened and start going from there, right? Nebraska, the Matt Rule part of Nebraska is owning it, figuring it out, and going from there. Because if it wasn't luck at 3-9, it's not luck now. That's the truth. Don't be afraid to be great. And if it doesn't work out, live with it. Live with the fact that you gave yourself an opportunity to be great. You think, like, I love Bud Crawford. I love Omaha. You know how many guys wouldn't take fights with Bud Crawford because they were afraid to be great? A lot. You know how many guys Bud Crawford ducked because he was afraid to be great? 0. The exact same amount of losses that man has. 0. Right? He should never have taken the Canelo fight. He's out of his mind to take that Canelo fight. Like, nutso. Especially with not getting the payday that he should have. And he said, you know what?
Didn't need it.
He said, you know what? Legacy time. Let's do this. He had to chase around Errol Spence for years. It's not Crawford's fault that he didn't find a better version of Spence. It's Spence's fault because he didn't want any of that smoke. He thought he waited out Crawford long enough that he could beat him. Guess what? Ended Spence's career because he wasn't afraid to be great. Wasn't afraid to be great. Listen, I know it's different as a fan base versus players, but don't be afraid that this team might be good. I'm not even going to say great because I don't think it's a great team yet. I think that's to come. I made a prediction 2 years ago that 2026 Nebraska will be in the college football playoff. That's when this team's going to be great. This year, I think they're good. And I think we can't be afraid to be happy that they're good. Don't steal your own joy because you're afraid it might hurt later. Because guess what? The only thing that doesn't prevent you from getting hurt later. It just prevents you from experiencing any joy now. That's all it does. I'll stop preaching.
I was just going to let you keep going. That was beautiful.
That's Hail Varsity Postgame Show. Thank you, Rico, for joining me today. Thank you, Austin, for producing back there in the great western Nebraska town of Sydney.
Shout out to Sydney.
Austin. Shout out to Sydney. Number 4 team in Class C2. Getting that
Let's go!
Going BTA on Ogallala.
Red Raiders, let's go!
Let's go. Also,
they could beat Texas Tech.
Before we sign off. I went an hour 20 without saying anything. Miller North, 42-14 over Lincoln East. We back, baby!
Congratulations. I'm glad you got that in.
Listen, I'm just glad I got to be there to see it. I got to go. I got to watch my W last night. I was happy with it. Got to watch a W today for Nebraska. I'm going to pretend like this Florida State game isn't happening right now, and we're going to have a good night. We're going to have a good night. That's Rico. I'm Ravi. Austin's back in Sydney helping us produce. We appreciate you all for listening. We'll talk to you on Monday on Hurrdat Sports Live. Have a good rest of your weekend.